Well, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. It is Thursday, April 21st, 2011, and we got the headline news for you today. I get a kick out of that. You know, I went to Atlanta and I never actually went to the CNN studios, but I did buy the coffee cup. Anyway, it's a lot cheaper to buy the coffee cup than to see the studios. Let's look at Matthew chapter 16, verse 5. When the disciples reached the other side, they had forgotten to bring any bread. Jesus said to them, I'm sorry, I'm just in a goofy mood this morning. Watch and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. And they began discussing it among themselves, saying, We brought no bread. I think that's funny right there. But Jesus, aware of this, said, O you of little faith, why are you discussing among yourselves the fact that you have no bread? Do you not yet perceive? Do you not remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000 and how many baskets you gathered, or the 7 loaves for the 4,000 and how many baskets you gathered? How is it that you fail to understand that I did not speak about bread? Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Then they understood that he did not tell them to beware of the leaven of bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Look, I think this is one of the most hilarious stories in the New Testament. He says, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. And he's been teaching in parables, so they understand that he's going to use figures of speech and things like that. And he's fed, he's being conservative because he's talking about the number of men. But he's fed at least 10,000 people in one occasion and 8,000 in another, we know. And so they think, oh, he's mad at us because we don't have any bread. You got to explain to them. He says, you dummies. That's really what he's saying. You guys really are idiots. God's power is going to show because I picked 12 idiots to eventually spread the gospel all over the world. But we're just that same way. We see things that should be so obvious, and yet we don't get it either. So I find comfort in the fact that these guys were human and were dumb heads and blockheads sometimes. But the lesson here is to beware of teaching that does not line up with this book. And for those of you who are my Facebook friends, I have started a print ministry now. It's called Bereans Welcome. And unfortunately, I had to delete some of my own posts on there because I did go way beyond what I should have, or my original intent, which is to compare church teaching with the Word of God. And that's what we always want to do. And that's what Jesus is saying here. Compare my teaching, that's what Jesus is teaching, with that of the Pharisees and Sadducees, and beware of theirs. Just beware of it. Sometimes they're going to teach the truth, sometimes not. When they don't listen to it and don't obey it. So I have this teaching ministry, and I encourage you to check it out. And I'm going to try to be really careful and not cross the line. I think I put in my last post, don't cross the line from Berean to belligerent. And the reason I called it Bereans Welcome, the Bereans in Acts 17 examined the scriptures every day to see if what was being taught was true. And that's what I always want to do. But hopefully with a really good spirit about it, not a condemning spirit. But you just got to be careful, especially though about religious prideful leaders, because they sometimes have other agendas. So check everything out by the Word of God, but be especially careful when it comes from religious prideful leaders. That trifold combination. But anyway, I just read this passage again. If you need a good chuckle, it's because we didn't have any bread. I mean, that's why I can't stop laughing. I think that's a hilarious passage, and I'm glad it's in there. There is some humor in the Bible, not that much, but every once in a while we get some. Hey, I love you so much. I appreciate you so much spending time with me and in the Word of God today. And come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.